Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sacrilicious with Robin and Snerts, a Simpsons review podcast. I'm your old pal Snerts, aka Joshua Stearns, and joining me is Robin. Don't have a cow, coward. Here's how it works. I pick an episode of The Simpsons. Robin picks an episode of The Simpsons. Then we talk. It's that simple. Now, without further ado, here's the first episode of the wonderfully wacky, probably never been done before, Sacrilicious. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting podcast in the universe. I'm your old pal, Snerts, aka Josh Stearns, and I'm joined today with my co-host, Robin.
Hi,
Say
everybody.
hello, Robin.
Hello, Robin.
Hilarious. We are attempting a podcast, something that's never been done before, especially by two white people.
Really pushing the envelope.
Yes, we are. And for our first dry run, we are going to talk about my favorite show, The Simpsons. Robin, is The Simpsons also your favorite show, or am I projecting?
I don't have favorites of pretty much any art form. What I do is I have an echelon, and certain things are that good that they're in the top echelon, and Simpsons is certainly in the top echelon for me.
Well, that's close enough to it's your favorite show, I suppose.
It's just got company.
Yeah, I understand. Excellent. And we are going to discuss two episodes today of The Simpsons. We chose one each. I did not force Robin to pick something that I wanted to talk about. And he's going to take the wheel and go first. So, Robin, what was your Simpsons episode that we are going to discuss today?
So I chose one based on a line that I often use, and I'll talk about it in the episode, but it's something that stuck with me and always remembers one of the funniest episodes, and it is season 14, and it's called The Dad Who Knew Too Little. The premise being that Lisa wants a gift for her birthday, and it's sold out, and Homer gets her something terrible instead, and proves to Lisa that he didn't know anything about her and it hurts her feelings, and he tries to win her love back. What'd you think about it, Josh?
I thought it was a fun episode. A lot of people think the golden era of The Simpsons is somewhere between seasons 3 through 8, or maybe 9 or 10, depending on who you talk to. So, whenever you get outside of that golden era, it doesn't become a hit after hit after hit. But this one is a lot of fun. You got a lot of Wiggum, and that's great. He is an amazing character, a complete idiot. I mean, which is kind of like being redundant because Springfield is full of idiots. But I thought this was a cute episode. It definitely has some good daddy-daughter moments that reminded me of when Lisa became obsessed with football and was really good at gambling and picking picks. So it's always nice to see Homer be something besides a complete idiot and just running off of his emotions and actually trying to be a good dad in his own dysfunctional way.
Well, he starts off as an idiot, but he redeems himself. So it's a redemption story.
Yes.
Which is always lovely. Try not to say on these. It'll be part of my learning curve. There is a lot of Wiggum, but there's also a lot of Ralph Wiggum, who is one of the greatest characters in Simpsons history, in my opinion.
Yes. The Ralph lines are always classic. Yeah. And so what was the terrible gift that Homer got him that started us all off on this
So
thing?
They're watching Pads on an episode. It's basically like celebrity houses, and there's a commercial for a diary that will automatically. This is one of the funny things about this episode. A recurring joke is if somebody other than the holder touches it at all, then it snaps shut and a voice comes out and says, "You are not the authorized user," and then it shocks the hell out of the person. Two things about that is, pain is always funny.
Yes.
But one of the things that struck me is how much technology is in that book. It recognizes instantaneously if anybody other than the user touches it. And then it snaps shut with extreme force. and has enough battery to shock the hell out of somebody. So it's an advanced sci-fi tech there that I like of that.
Yeah. Also, before we get too much further, I do remember I love Krusty the Clown. He's another one of my favorite side characters. And when they're doing the pads, and he's like, "This is today," and he's in his bathrobe.
He's like hungover
with
and
like
naked.
his like bloodshot eyes, and he's like pounding Pepto-Bismol. Which is hilarious, and I think there was something with like a monkey, and then he ends up
gets
getting
into
beat
a
up by his
fight with
neighbor.
Elliot
Yeah, so
Gould.
it was great. And I was trying to look up. I didn't write down. Did they have a name for the diary? Did they have some kind of fun Simpsons name for it? I'm looking right now at the wiki, and I don't see it. So
I don't remember.
I'm sure it does, but that's not really important. But we do know absolutely, like you were saying, the lovely violent closing and shocking that we see this first when Homer picks up the diary.
No, this the second time. The first time is in the commercial, and this kid, steals this girl's diary, and it says that she loves him, and he goes, "You would love me, loser." And then he gets shocked. She gets that diary and it snaps shut, and he gets shocked, and I'm pretty sure he dies in that commercial. Which is funny.
Oh my God. All
right. So she wants the diary for her birthday, and Marge is like, "Homer, get her the damn diary."
Yeah.
She says a great line. She says, "A kid should have their own diary. I had to share mine with my uncle."
Yeah, that was disturbing on a lot of levels. Because I don't know why. I just imagine Marge's uncle, who we've never met in my understanding, is just like one of those crazy right wing psycho conspiracy driven,
or just
uncles,
absolutely and totally insane and violent.
Yeah, you could just imagine one page of Marge drawing butterfly or other cute, like, stereotypical girl stuff in a diary, right? Talking about a boy she likes.
Which beetle will I marry?
Followed by like Pizzagate level. I know there's a basement. I will find the basement. I will go to the basement and I will shoot my gun.
That's what I am excited by the sight of warm blood flowing out of the human body.
Yeah, just some real psycho shit.
It's hilarious because that's what I love about lines like that. Is it creates all of this, imagery in your mind.
Yeah,
go down
and it's kind of a throwaway line, right?
Like exactly, they do that all the time. It's such a aspect of the show that I love so much.
I say all the time. So I says to Mabel, I says,
yeah,
and people are like, "What are you on crack?" But like, if there's a fellow Simpson nerd out there, they know what it is, and they kind of give a little smile or a nod, right?
There's a couple of instances of that. But it's Bart Simpson, right? He's talking on the phone.
Yeah.
And but didn't they have a throwback to that?
Was that particular line that I said. They were in the table, and he was talking to Lisa.
Okay.
And then it's just a cut. It's a cutaway. They cut to them, and he goes, "I says to Mabel, I says, oh, hold on," and then they go back to the plot, which is great. And also, great. So in this episode too, like, how did Homer? So he obviously didn't get the diary, correct?
Correct. So he's at the toy store. Burns buys the last diary for his enemy list. Another throwaway, the Kingston Trio.
Yes.
Number one. And then Homer tries to steal it from him, and of course gets the hell shocked out of him. It's just a running gag, and it's hilarious. Pain is always funny. So the clerk starts offering him other toys, and he offers him the Tickle Me Krusty doll, which will says phrases like, "I am anatomically correct. Go ahead and take a peek." And like, "Go get mommy's pills. They taste like candy." It's like a disturbing toy.
Love that
Krusty doll.
Fantastic.
So that toy he doesn't buy that toy, thank God. And he's mad, he's really upset, and he runs into Flanders. And there's another throwaway line. He goes, They're at the mall, and he goes, "Call me Mall Flanders," which is another one of those throwaways for just like nerds,
Yeah.
being a 1700s novel, learn it mostly private.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the Burns line too. Those are usually like for the history buffs out there. Conan O'Brien said like if he had his way, he would just write an entire episode of nothing but Mr. Burns lines. So that's fantastic. And then of course, Stupid Flanders puts an idea in Homer's head that and what do you call it? What was the thing?
They have
movie?
like a poorly produced, like personalized video. And he's gotten one for Rod, and Rod is in space, and it's one of those things where it, it's funny because for both of them, it's the narrator of the movies doing all the lines except for, the person who buys it personalizes it. And it goes, Rod is in space, and it goes, Rod's hobbies include, and then it's Flanders, and he goes, Rod's hobbies are being quiet during trips, clapping to songs, and diabetes.
The Beatus.
It's classic. And then so he does Lisa's as a cowboy, which is already, obviously not Lisa Ed anyway. And it says the same things. It's like Lisa's favorite food is chicken nuggets.
And for those who don't know, she's a vegetarian.
Well, she goes, Dad, that's not my favorite food. I'm a vegetarian. He goes, still? You're not going to like my other present. And it's a wrapped whole chicken.
I also love the line, her best friend is Maggie.
Maggie Simpson.
Which is just like so clueless. Oh my God.
There's a great callback to that. Oh, she stomps off, Maggie Simpson's not my best friend, she's a baby. And she stomps off crying, and Homer goes, Maggie, you go after her, she's your best friend. They do a funny thing in that is they kind of do a subtle callback to things that we watched growing up, where it's like the Indians stole your chicken nuggets, and they do that a couple times with Indians. It kind of makes you like suck on your teeth and go, ooh, it's one of those bad videos.
I have to say, at least Bart came through, and that was that's the other thing that's consistent throughout the episode, besides the diary, is a laser pointer. And he demonstrates using this, I believe, by pointing it out the window. For some reason, Skinner's there, right? And he puts it right on his crotch. And then he's like, well, better remove my pants. There's a red dot. And then there's him in his tighty whities. And he's like, well, the dot's still there. And he pulls down his underwear. So now he's pantsless in the street, or just on the sidewalk. Wiggum rolls up, and he gives he's like, hey, you better get that dot checked out. My uncle died of crotch dot.
Crotch dot.
Yeah, my uncle died of crotch dot. Right. I guess I could do it more in a Wiggum, like, yeah, Wiggum, see? Oh, you gotta get that checked out.
Yeah.
I got to work on my Wiggum. That was pretty weak.
Who's the 40s actor?
But crotch dot is hilarious.
Crotch dot.
That was just so fucking funny.
And a thing you said earlier, it's another one of those moments that they do. I realize in both of these episodes where they have a really nice moment between Lisa and Bart there.
Yeah.
Where like he gets her like a nice present, and she's really touched and makes him happy and everything like that. It's very sweet.
Yeah. Deep down, even though he has this like bad boy attitude, he does love and appreciate his sister.
So then, Homer's going to try and win her love back, but he starts going like, I'm trying to get to know you. And he goes, who's your favorite traveling Wilbury? What's your favorite cigar size? Is it Robusto? And then, of course, he goes to Moe and suggests hiring the PI, Dexter Colt.
Classic kind of PI name. He very much reminded me with his motif of Rex Banner from Homer versus the I think 18th Amendment, is it? This fun classic PI guy in the trench coat and the fedora.
That's it. Kind of the grizzled, class. With the funny lines there is he's walking to that office, and the the door says, "Please, no setups," which is, of course, the plot of most of those movies. They're like that. But a couple things at the bar is Mo says, "Yeah, you can find out more about a chick digging through one garbage can than you can with years of intimacy."
I also like how Homer asks for a to-go beer and then
yes,
wraps it up in foil like you're at some kind of fancy restaurant. Like, I think, wasn't it Gladstone's out in Malibu that would do that, right? Like,
I don't know, a lot of different ones over time.
But yeah, like, sometimes
the
you go
fancier
to
ones, like the steakhouses,
right? You go to a fancy steakhouse, you ask for some leftovers to be wrapped up, and they come back to the foil. So, and I just, for whatever reason, imagine Homer drinking it from the swan's neck, like he like tilts it upwards, and like the liquid goes over the neck, and out the beak, and he's just like, I never thought I'd kiss a swan before. But
maybe I'll turn into a swan someday. Oh God.
Yeah. They love showing how depressed and sad Mo is. That's always a running. Like, once they were done with the phone calls and the pranks like that, they're like, let's just make him suicidal.
Well, there's a throwaway line in that same scene where Carl goes, "He found out who was cobbling shoes for me at night. It turns out I have severe schizophrenia."
Yeah. Great. Also, I love how it was $50 a day plus expenses, which sounds pretty reasonable, even with our 2024 money, right? And he puts together a nice report, right? And then we get the long running.
Where does he send it, Josh? Do you remember where he has to send the report to?
No idea.
ChunkyLover53 at
right.
AOL.
Yeah,
that's right. That's Homer's email, which he emphasizes. Chunky Lover.
I wonder if somebody like made that an email, or like at the Simpsons studio, and I don't know, because I can see something where like you can actually email the team at Chunky Lover, one word.
That would be great. Should try that for the next episode. So then the funniest thing is he goes to Dexter's trying to figure out to create this report. And he does things like he's intimidating Skinner. And he does, the classic callbacks to these type of movies that the Simpsons do all the time, where he's like, "Oh no, it'd be a shame if somebody messed up these papers on your desk." And he's like, "No, I'll talk."
Yeah, well, it's not that he if I remember correctly, he reshuffles them. And he's like, "Well, I could just put them back in order." And then the creme de la creme is he staples them. And of course, like, they can't afford staple removers at Springfield Elementary.
It can never be undone. It's final.
Yeah, so then you get the classic, pan up from the camera, no scream.
There's another way he blackmails Muntz into stealing Lisa's book report,
Yep.
by stealing his picture with Snow White at Disney.
Yes. Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, Snow White." And Dexter goes, "She isn't real." And he goes, "Shut up. Some of us prefer illusion to reality."
Yeah, perfect line.
Old Muntz showing depth. I
also like how he tries to interview Ralph Wiggum, so we get more Ralph. Right?
"Lisa's a girl in my class." "Yes, you said that."
Yeah, "This guy's already been worked over."
"I picked my nose till it bleeded."
Yeah. So that's fun. So this guy is a real private eye, man. He's actually doing the work, putting the.
He gets it done. It's effective. I love what he gives Homer the report, obviously, with all the information about Lisa, and he's flipping through reading. He goes, "Her pet peeve is phonies? I thought she loved phonies." That's almost Mel Brooks like, that line. I love there's so many throwaway lines in this whole thing. The writers are so brilliant on this show.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And I didn't think about the Mel Brooks thing until you said it, but now I can't unsee it. It's just there in my mind's eye.
Why do I always get the warped ones?
Yeah.
So Homer's using this information to get closer to his daughter. He plays, Was it The Birth of Soul? Is it Miles Davis? Who's
Yeah,
he
it's some
playing?
jazz song. I'm not a big musician, so like that kind of stuff kind of washes over me. But like it is one of her favorite jazz songs.
It's I think it's a classic Miles Davis. I'm trying to remember which one it was.
And then they also go to the
And they go to the
well,
crux of the show.
right. Well, I also love too where like Lisa's idea of a good day is going to a protest.
She's so
for
whole
animal
and
rights.
pure.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's a callback to that later. About wholesome, how the Simpsons show wholesomeness and how they tend to, make it look wholesomeness and what their views are on it. But
yeah, well, in a lot of the DVD commentaries for this kind of stuff, they do say like Lisa is like the moral center of the entire town and show. So that's great. But yeah, they go out there, and of course, who doesn't like a good smoking monkey? The Simpsons have had more smoking monkeys than any other
and the
show.
lipstick's on the pig, yeah.
And yep, got to put that lipstick on the pig.
Well, going
that
in,
was
there's one line going in, Josh,
yeah.
I thought you would like, which is, what do we want? The gradual phase out of animal testing over the next 3 years. When do we want it? Over the next 3 years.
Yeah, and you have your stereotypical PETA-looking folks, a hippie-ish. Someone I think has a marijuana leaf on their sweatshirt, so that's fun. They're just spelling out the policies, and it is funny because I do sometimes think people on the left kind of do that. They try to be like overly wordy and nuanced with their slogans, right? Like, instead of lock her up, it's like, we eventually want to build agriculture and improve our standing over the world. It's a little long-winded.
Thoughtful masses.
So it's kind of funny and definitely right on the nose. And yeah, it was just one of those things where like they were kind of pointing out that these things do exist, and animal testing can be like under certain circumstances terrible. But at the same time, it's kind of funny because it's like smoking monkeys and putting makeup on pigs and all that kind of good stuff.
The pigs and the holsters just like covered in like gaudy 1800s poor makeup.
Right.
It's
right. And also, it's I love how like as we progress through this story and we see Homer doing more and more nice things, he always has the report on him. He's always holding it and kind of putting it behind him, and they just make kind of Lisa oblivious to the whole thing. And there's even like a joke of like, "Oh no, report is a daddy word for I love you" or something like that. That's the wrong line.
He's
that's
he slips up. I love when he goes, they've had like a lovely day,
right?
And there she's in bed and she's like, "Thanks, Dad, for such a great day. You do know me." And he goes, "I should know you. You're my," and then he has to check the report.
Yep.
Daughter.
Yeah.
I think he says, "I'm your," check the report, father.
Yeah. So there's definitely a lot of that. He is really good at that report, though. Like, it's so funny how he can't memorize what's in it, but he knows, like, he flips right to where he needs to go. Right. It's not like he's looking that far. He just, like, kind of does the classic cartoon thing where the pages blur and then it stops and he reads.
And he puts his finger right on what he needs.
Yeah. So it's hilarious that, like, he has terrible memorization of what is actually in the report, but he knows where it's located. So that's a fun contradiction.
Yes. You see him throughout the episode start to take it in more and more, and by the end of the episode he is reciting it without looking at the report,
right?
So that follows all the way through.
So everything ended. We're gonna end the episode, right? Everything's great.
They're in love.
Oh, okay. There's still more. Okay,
it's done. Well, of course. So the expenses, that the PI took on were like some extraordinary, like high number, like $800 or something.
According to the Wikipedia, it was $1,000 for expenses plus the $50 a day, which is fantastic. So it was probably like what, $150, maybe even $50 because he did it in a day. Maybe this gumshoe is really efficient, but
right, exactly. Has a nice steak dinner on Homer.
Yeah, I love the silver bullets. What's that for? Well, I was beginning with the theory that your daughter was a werewolf. Didn't pan out. I
Didn't
was
pan
like,
out.
that's great. Like he's just like, I just better get silver bullets. It reminded me of one of my favorite improv characters, Dalton Wilcox, the poet laureate of the West, who's a monster hunter, and he believes everybody's a monster. And he's the kind of guy who would have silver bullets. So
Right.
I love that kind of just stupid nonsense where like obviously werewolves don't exist. Where is he getting silver bullets? Like, is he going to Hermes shop, the guy with the one arm? Like, he's
Tiffany
like,
and Co. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Walmart, like where do you get the silver bullets?
They
Which was
don't
pretty
sell
funny.
real medals at
So of
Walmart.
course, like, Homer being Homer, it was like, well, this is too much money.
He refuses
Um,
to pay him, stiffs the PI. He
yeah,
never stiffed the PI.
no, you pay your bills, folks. Pay your bills.
Yeah. So he stiffs the PI, and that's kind of the crux of the episode is so the PI gets mad and he frames Lisa by releasing all of the animals and trashing the animal facility, the testing facility,
Yeah,
and releases all the writes their organization name, PT, ET, A, preteens, whatever it is.
yeah.
And
It's basically PETA, but they added a T and made a new
right,
acronym. So
exactly.
that's fun.
And
I also love another Wiggum line. Sorry to cut you off there, but I do love this Wiggum line. It is like, well, we got a book report here on the secret garden. Yeah. What's that about? It's like, well, apparently there's a secret garden in all of us. It's like,
Carl goes,
then,
what does it mean, Chief?
yeah, and then Lou is like, hey, look, my ex-wife's name was Amy. One of these monkeys was named Amy. That's hilarious. So
Because he
good old Lou
can't
and
keep a
Ed,
straight
right?
face. He's like,
Yeah. Oh,
somebody's
come on,
so
guys.
desperate.
Yeah.
And I love that line. This is secret garden, all of us. No, Chief, about the case. And there's Lisa Simpson is guilty.
Yeah.
And
then
immediately it cuts to the Simpson house.
Yep.
And Ralph rings the doorbell and goes, can Lisa come out with her hands up?
That made me happy. So happy. Because then you just see the three cops in the bushes, not even hiding very well.
Like, give her the thumbs up.
Yeah.
Give her the thumbs up.
And then you have Homer just drives off with the car, right, with Lisa.
Well, Marge goes, he's innocent, and then the car busts out of the living room, of course, because it had gotten in the living room, busts out of the wall or the garage, and with Lisa, they're going on the lamb, and Marge is like, they've been innocent, and he goes, would an innocent person flee? This is my favorite line. This is the one that sticks with me. He goes,
"Oh, is this the line that that made you want us to cover this episode?"
This is it.
All right,
this
so I won't steal your thunder. Then
it's like he's innocent, and then he busts out, and then Chief goes, "Would an innocent person flee?" No, seriously, I'm asking. I don't know. And then Carl goes, "Chief, no." And then Ralph goes, "Even I know that, Daddy."
Fabulous.
And Wiggum goes, "Yeah, I'm not good." And that line is the one I use all the time. Whenever I do something stupid, I'm like, yeah. I'm not.
Perfect.
I'm not good.
Because it's bad when even Ralph, the ditziest, dumbest, dimmest dude in the show, is just like, I know something you don't. I mean, this is the kid who said when they were, go orange, go grapefruit, go banana. Just come on. Fantastic. So of course they do their classic, they're on the lam, so we got to go someplace far out in the woods, right, in the Springfield
they
woods.
end up in a cabin out in the woods. I love Homer tries to call home, and it cuts to the Simpson house, and the police are sitting there at the table recording it, and Homer does his great freaking like fake voice that he does every time he tries to do a fake voice, and he goes,
Ooh.
hello, my name is name. He goes, hello, this is a survey. Would you vote for A, the cops are there, or B, it's cool to talk? Just the least subtle thing of all time. Of course, they're not picking up on it. And, Marge is like, A, and then she goes, Operation Hug Elisa for me is in effect. Just the the cops can't pick up on anything. Like, it's the least subtle thing. It's always fun. The
They also
Keystone
had
Cop.
some fun visual gags with the shoe polish because they're going to try to dye their hair. Lisa,
And Homer
disgusting
crafts this
black.
like 1950s greaser hairstyle.
Yeah, he's like, I look
in
like Elvis,
grease.
and then like the whole like part droops off, and he's bald again. And then when he's reviewing the hotel bid, he like puts on his glasses with the shoe polish. So we have some kind of fun visual gags there. And then I also love when the cops do show up, and they're like, "Okay, we're coming out the front door any moment now." And then you can hear him saying like, "Why is this window so small? I can't fit out." So they managed to flee out the back, and they're living a nomadic vagabond lifestyle, and he's trying to pull it off. At least he's like, "I thought you liked nature. Like, this is gonna be great. Look, a trash can." And what do they find there in that trash can there, Robin?
They find
remember?
bananas, and they're starving because they're on the lam, and so they start to peel the bananas, and they're like in the shape of a banana. There's just cigarette butts.
So gross.
Which is such a gross image. And there's several of them, and it's a callback to the monkeys in the animal testing facility who were like chain smoking. Yeah. And so he goes, "Oh, they must be nearby."
And conveniently, we have a circus.
There's a circus right there where they were walking,
what are the odds?
where everything happened.
Yeah,
and
what a coinkydink.
It's you see like the pigs are in a cage, they still got all the makeup on. Like that's
I should have wrote down some of the signs too, because the Simpsons have those great signs too. It's like come see the chain smoking monkeys, come see the beautified pigs or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is great. And
it turns out, Dexter, the PI, broke him out and then sold him to the circus. And they figure that out. And so they've got him, but Dexter's there, and he's got a gun. And he's like, "Ha ha!"
Well, no, before he has a gun, he has a cannon.
Oh, that's right.
With the flying Giuseppe. Hello, I'm Giuseppe. How you doing? Hey, how's it going? Yeah, Giuseppe. I love, great name.
He's threatening Lisa with it, by the way.
And they have kind of a callback to Homer Palooza, where Homer would get shot by the cannon as part of the Freaks act.
He gets
shot by Giuseppe, and I loved it because it was the classic bad back thing. It's like, "Oh, I think I fixed my back," and then you hear a very nasty crack, and he's like, "No, no."
Oh no! It happens a lot. It's a great joke. The Simpsons, I always hear that in the bar a lot. I did. Yeah. Oh no!
Or like in Incredibles,
in the Homer Palooza episode, real quick.
Yeah,
there's a great joke. One of my favorite jokes is somebody's ordered out the London Symphony Orchestra, and the stage manager is like, "Who ordered the London Symphony Orchestra? We're looking at you, Cypress Hill, possibly While High." Yeah. And they're like, "Did we?"
Do you guys know Insane in the Membrane? It actually sounded pretty cool. Awesome. Yeah. And so we get that. And then, we get our little bit of a chase. They go into the Hall of Mirrors. And then we get another callback, Robin, don't we?
I do love the Dex line while they're standing there. And he goes, "You should have paid my expenses." And angry Homer goes, "Well, yes, in retrospect, I should have." And they chase him with the gun in the Hall of Mirrors, and of course Homer's like, "Ha ha! You can't see me, you can't shoot me." And he shoots him. He's like, "Ow!"
He just right away. There's not even he just as soon as he says, "You'll never be able to."
He's
get
like,
me.
"I can see you. Like I'm not like a kid. Like I could pick you out from a reflection." Lisa comes in to save the day, and she's got her laser pointer that she got from Bart. And of course, using some rather impressive physics and geometry, bounces it off all the mirrors to make it even stronger and hits him right in the eye. And it's like a laser blasting in the eye. And then he's done. So Dex is down for the count. And Homer goes, "How ironic. Blind after years of being able to see."
Yeah, that was so dumb.
I don't know why I found that so hilarious. Blinded after a lifetime of seeing. How ironic.
And then in classic Simpsons fashion, they wrap it up real quick. The cops are there. They find out that Dexter is the bad guy. Lisa is proven innocent. Then we cut to the last scene that's not during the credits. For whatever reason, we got to bring Cletus into this. And I got to tell you, man, Cletus fucked them pigs. He fucked them pigs, man.
If I catch you with lipstick on your shirt again, you can't sleep in the barn.
Duly noted.
There's a funny line that Homer Simpson says about the made-up pigs earlier in the show. He goes, he's like, oh, they're being worked on. He goes, so sad, yet so sexy, yet so delicious.
Yeah, that was during the protest.
So sad.
Yeah, classic Homer, right? Like he's like feeling all the emotions, but still thinking with his stomach.
Well, and then, so at the end, like we talked about it, but like the heart is so important in this show. They're resolved by they're at home, Lisa and Homer, and this really has been a bonding for them. And Lisa's gotten a lot closer to her father, and her father's gotten a lot closer to his daughter, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's great. And then they have a post-credit scene, which is kind of annoying for streaming because you always get the next episode popping up. So I did miss this, but I'm reading in the summary here that they did a final callback to the diary.
Yes, so there's a rare credit scene, which they don't do a lot in The Simpsons. It's always something special when they do it.
Yeah, they do it frequently enough, but it's not like a trope. Like I want to say that like once a season at least they're doing something in the background, even if it's just like VO over the credits. But this one was actually fully animated.
Bart comes in and Lisa's shut her diary on her bed, and he grabs it with tongs, fully confirming that it reads either your fingerprints, like on the cover of this diary, or it reads your DNA. Think about it, Josh. And he picks up with the tongs. He takes it. He's like, "Dad, can you read me a bedtime story?" And Homer goes, "Yes, let's see what this book is." It's like unauthorized user, and he gets absolutely fried. He's like, "Ah!" And that is the end of the whole episode. Right there is Homer getting hurt again.
Yep, awesome. Well, thank you. That was fun. Definitely a good episode, as we said before. I think it had again the fun Homer and daddy-daughter moments, and who doesn't love a good PI and a pig fucking joke to top it off, right?
Absolutely. I think pig fucking jokes should be at the end of literally everything. Wedding speeches, funeral remarks.
Although it was a little disturbing when I was watching Black Mirror because that show's just a little too real. The first episode, the premiere of Britain is blackmailed into fucking a pig on TV. That was very disturbing.
Oh, yes.
Cletus having lipstick on his collar, not disturbing, hilarious.
That show it was disturbing. I mean, I found it properly disturbing.
It's really tough to
a couple of times. There's an episode, the episode that really messed me up is he's created a fake world that you kind of go into through 3D lenses, and they've created with AI,
kind of like a Ready Player One,
by downloading people's minds.
I see.
These players, and the characters through AI actually create life, and so they're like beings. But of course, this is a video game that this guy has put himself into. And he's like the hero, and all these other people put through these like horror scenarios, but it's real for them because this is their real environment. AI has created reality within it, and so they
disturbing.
all can die and get destroyed, and people just get horribly like murdered. Ugh. And that was the most pleasant episode. It was brilliant, but it was. It
is brilliant, but also disturbing, and I think that's that is the whole like catch of the show.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Well, hello there, friend. How you doing today? It's your old pals from Stern Lecture Plumbing. We gotta have an honest talk, don't you know? You're pathetic. That's right, I said it. When it comes to indoor plumbing, pathetic. You couldn't tell the difference between a toilet and a faucet. Your kids, God bless them kids. But they get rid of everything with a flush.
And let's also be very, very honest that your partner's drug habit is not helping the situation, not one bit.
Luckily for you, there's Stern Lecture Plumbing. We will maintain your pipes, sinks, and tubs. Give us a call today. Stern Lecture Plumbing. I told you not to flush that.
And now, back to the show.
But you know what isn't disturbing? Season 7, episode 22, Raging Abe Simpson and his grumbling grandson in the Curse of the Flying Hellfish. This is most likely like in the top 10 episodes for me. It's part of the golden series of seasons 6 through 8, where it was I call it like the Josh and Bill years because it's Josh Weinstein and Bill Oakley who are the like primary writers on this, even though this particular episode was written by Jonathan Collier. I hope I pronounced that right. And it was directed by Jeffrey Lynch. And in this episode, Grandpa Simpson, we kind of get a little bit of background into his World War II era, where he was part of the Fish Squad. It's, you know, very much like we had a lot of Wiggum in the last episode that we were discussing. This one, we have a hell of a lot of Grandpa Simpson, and he is just doing everything.
I was trying to come up with a name for them, Josh. I call them Abeisms or maybe Grandpaisms.
Yeah. I mean, because it's all Grandpa Simpson shtick all the time, and it's great. I mean, it starts off with the bring your grandparent to school day, spitting all over the classroom, and he's like, "Well, if you don't have
this school don't have
that's
a
not my problem." Yeah, and then
sorry, I talked over it.
No, it's
You're gonna say it again.
And it's you know, it's just a lot of fun, and they're going through and each grandpa is presenting like their life and giving out a little story. So like they start off with Milhouse's granddad, and he's like, how many of you own a home? And they all raise their hand. How many of you drove your home today to school? and you know, Grandpa keeps interrupting as they go. It turns out Nelson's grandfather is a judge, and he's like, I sentenced 46 men to death, you know, and blah, blah, blah. And he keeps interrupting. So finally, it's Grandpa's turn. And
well,
he's
I like when he's interrupting him, he goes, oh, you've done that? Well, I bet you don't have an oatmeal spoon.
Yeah, exactly.
He pulls it out of his shirt.
He also hits Mrs. Krabappel with the spoon as he goes up to the front. And I love it because
it's a great gag. It's one of the great gags.
And he puts his legs up, and you hear the crickling, like crackle noise of his legs, and as he crosses them and cracks some more, which is hilarious. And he's like, as I go to my main remarks here about me inventing the turlet. And then they all start laughing because like he's just telling these stupid ass stories that go nowhere. And he's like, I spent 7 years on that turlet. And then they start laughing some more. So this really embarrasses Grandpa, and you know, or not Grandpa. This really embarrasses Bart. And he kind of asks them to like stop it. And he goes back home. He's like, why do I have to deal with Grandpa? He's such a crazy coot. So like, you know, I guess the Simpsons family is just kind of tired of Grandpa and his nonsense.
And you know, I love the ageism in the classroom where you know, even Martin is laughing at him.
Yeah.
And his retort is, what are you cackling at, fatty? Too much pie. That's your problem.
Turlet, highly dubious.
Turlet. Back in Dickety 04.
Yeah. And then Homer has a great line too of like, old people have it made. They got like pants up to here. They get to sleep until 11.
Talcum powder.
Yeah.
All those senior citizen perks.
And then of course it does the hard cut to the retirement castle where Grandpa lives. And you know, the Simpsons love making that a dilapidated, like just terrible place.
Place to be.
And he's just there kind of like sadly going through the mail, and he gets something from the flying hellfish, and it turns out one of the last people who was alive had passed away. So now this leaves just two people. Asa Phelps, yes. And so now we find out at a funeral that the last two surviving Hellfish members are Mr. Burns and Grandpa, which is hilarious.
And it's like the dark. So one of the things I like about this episode is they really get a set of mood. Like the setting is really well done, and the shots are really well done, and it's, you know, that classic. It's raining at his funeral.
Oh no, it was like your classic funeral that you would see in any kind of like cinematic movie. It's raining everywhere. There's two men. They're kind of looking at each other very silently as the reverend is reading the eulogy. They pull out the keys when they put it in and everything like that and cross it off, because the whole point of the flying hellfish, as I should explain, is they have a tontine.
Mhm.
And so there's a fun flashback where we go back to World War II, and this is later in the episode. But basically, there are a bunch of priceless art that they found in World War II in Europe, and they decided to like steal it basically, because all they wanted to have some kind of retirement or some nest egg, and because Mr. Burns kind of has a line is like, well, we're just like, do we just want to give it to the Nazis, like they
Well, and
already.
Burns is the one basically convinces them to
Yeah.
steal this art
Yeah. So
in Germany.
that's like what everything kind of goes into the second half of the episode. So because of this, Mr. Burns wants Grandpa dead. At the funeral, like they go into they go
He's
into
like,
the car and he's like, Smithers, have that man killed.
have that man
Uh,
killed.
and then so Smithers, being the kind of voice of reason every once in a while, kind of is like, sir, maybe if we just wait, time will kill him for us. Which is a
He's
great
like,
line.
I can't take that risk.
But instead, Mr. Burns hires an assassin, Fernando Vidal. And I love this because this is very much classic stuff from movies as well, where like the rich guy calls up an assassin from Latin America, and he's this very suave guy. And he's like, hello, Fernando, this is MB. And he's like, Montelier Bren, another shipment already? He's like, no, Montgomery Burns. He's like, ay caramba. So,
Oh, the old
we,
Marion Barry reference.
and then we are treated to a series of hilarious assassination attempts. Now, out of the, I think there's.
So I want to say one
Oh,
thing
sure.
real quick, Josh. Is we have a classic Burnsism, where he's like, I'm going to send you his picture over the faxtrolla.
Oh yeah, yeah.
and I love that because he gets it. Fernando gets this picture, and it's a picture of Abe eating out of a can, and he looks at the picture and he takes a drag straight and he goes, Del Monte.
Yes, classic.
Classic.
All right, so we have 3 assassination attempts, I believe. Which one was your favorite?
My favorite one was they break into the old folks' home and they throw a knife at his head. He turns, looks at him, and they're dressed like horribly in character as Homer is Fernando, and Burns is Marge. It's classic. He's got like the green dress and the pearls on, the blue hair. And he goes, he notices them. He's like, my family would never come to visit me. And my favorite is Smithers is Bart.
Yes.
And he walks out, he's like, I'll be in the car, dude.
And what I like about it too is that it starts with the announcer, like someone at the old folks' home calls up Abe and says, "Oh, Abe, your family is here to visit you." And he's like, "Oh, hot dog, my family! I'm so lonely." And he comes running. He's like, "Wait a minute, my family never comes to visit me." And that's when you see the knife get thrown right above his
Whizzes
head.
right by his head.
There's also a poisoning attempt where our Fernando assassin puts a poison into the water where he has his dentures located, and we hear like the alarm go off, and jumps out of his bed. He throws like the glass away and puts the alarm in his mouth, and our suave assassin goes, "He is more clever than he appears," which is just fantastic. And then the final one is they just kind of like they really like show him planning, and they have like a blues chart out and some like instruments, right? And he's like, "We are going to have to do the most delicate attempt yet." And it literally is just him kicking in the door of the old folks' home and firing off a machine gun.
Yeah.
Then that you see Abe run to the nurse who's at the home and goes, "Someone's trying to kill me." Okay, let's start by doubling your medication. And then like, the machine gun fire goes into that room, and she pulls out a goddamn shotgun. It's like, our residents are trying
like a sawed-off double barrel.
Yeah, it was legit. So because like the old folks' home is such a dangerous place, Grandpa ends up going back to the Simpsons' home, and the Simpsons family all agree that he needs to stay in Bart's room, much to Bart's chagrin. But that's when Grandpa lets Bart in on the secret, and they have that fun flashback that we mentioned earlier. And one of the things that I do like about the flashback is it shows a unit from Springfield. Now, I don't know how World War II worked in that regard. Like, that's not my purview for my history background. but I'm pretty sure you all weren't from the same town. You know,
Right.
so it's kind of funny the way they had like, so they had the Barney's grandfather, they had Abe Simpson in there. You had Mr. Burns. You have Wiggum, who has a grenade he lost, but it blows up his backpack.
No, that's
And
right. Oh yeah, Wiggum.
yeah, and then you have Barney's dad doing the tank, and we have a fun thing where he drives by and you don't see him, but you just hear the classic Barney burp.
Yeah.
And
And
then
like shakes the
and then they
tank.
just throw like 3 or 4 like very stereotypical World War II names out there, like Ace Griffin and Fox or whatever it is, which I kind of love because they in the commentary they definitely said like, oh yeah, we just had to throw in some stereotypical Dirty Dozen type of like World War II names. So you got to get an Ace, you got to get a Griff, that kind of fun thing. So of course Bart is skeptical given the consistent lying and fudging of information that Grandpa has done throughout the episode, and he said something along the lines of like, "Nice story, Grandpa. Could have used a werewolf or two, or something to that nature." And that was very funny. But then all of a sudden, Mr. Burns just comes crashing through the wall in some kind of like weird lift.
Yeah, like a yeah, a lift. It's a lift.
Yeah.
That's a good description.
I guess according to the wiki, it's saying a crane. So we could use yeah. But when I think crane, I don't think like that, but that's okay. So it is a little platform. He has little joysticks. He's moving on. He even has a cute little hard hat, which is always fun. And then all of a sudden Bart's like, "Oh my God, it's real, Grandpa! Whatever you do, don't give him the key. Here's the key." But of course, Bart being his, he definitely has sleight of hands in his D&D character at a high level with dexterity, so he was able to pickpocket Mr. Burns.
He's such a miscreant.
And we're kind of off to the races. Now, fun little throwaway gag they have is that Mr. Burns does not yet know how to operate this crane, crashes into Lisa's room, and he says, "Oh, never mind, go to sleep, little girl." And you hear Lisa going, "Santa?"
I love that you wrote that down because I thought that was as funny a thing as that episode where she goes, "Santa," like her hopes and dreams are wrapped up, and Santa has finally been real.
Because no matter how adult like her ideas are, at the heart of it, Lisa is still a girl. She's a little girl.
And she's innocent. Like, she's so innocent.
So yeah, it's totally viable that she's like, "Oh, Santa?" Yeah, that was great.
It's so innocent and sweet. It's wonderful.
So now we're going back to the gravestone, and we have a very cool, like, I don't know, is like the Maltese Falcon or some kind of like weird. It reminded me of like an older like 50s type of movie, and they have a very nice headstone that has all like
it's like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, and they put in all the keys. So there's a giant circle, so you can put all the keys that everybody had as a member of the Hellfish, and then a light comes out of the eyeball of the Hellfish logo and points out, and they're like, "Boy, we're gonna be rich!" And they have this great sight gag where it's going over the gravestones, and you're wondering where it's going to be buried.
Moving,
and then it goes right out to water, and they're both like, "God damn it!"
Miles out to sea.
And then so the Grandpa like ends up, he's like, "All right, boy, you go borrow us some diving equipment. I'm gonna borrow us this boat." And of course it's Flanders' boat, and he's Grandpa's trying to take a hacksaw to the chain that's the docking it, right? And it's like, "Well, hey, what are you doing there, neighbor?" "I'm stealing your boat." And it's like, "Well, do you know how to operate a boat? Have you ever been there?" He's like, "No." He's like, "All right, well, have fun." And he throws him the keys. He's like, "Come on, kids, we're gonna go sleep out in the park," or something like that. Like, it was really typical Flanders thing where he's just kind of like, "Hey there, neighbor, see what you're doing. I'm gonna let you get away with it because I'm Ned Flanders."
What I remarked with that is like Ned Flanders is like the best human being, like the best dad. Yeah, he just does everything for everybody, and he keeps it straight and narrow, and they're churchgoers, and his children are happy, and they all love each other. Since consistently says like we hate people like that.
Yes. Yeah.
We hate those kind of families. I
also love that
they have all their shit together.
His penis goes down to his knees. This guy is hung and he's ripped. It's hilarious because like he's just like the most wholesome guy ever, right? Like and he's healthy. He has a great relationship with Edna Krabappel later on after his wife Maud dies. Like it's very. What a character. Ned Flanders is a goddamn classic.
Beautiful man. Beautiful man.
Like I also love, even when we're applying to emails for work, I'm like, Oakley dokley. howdy ho, neighborino. I love that. Or like, as Melon Scratcher goes, this is a honey doodle. It's hilarious. Love the Flanders. So Bart and Grandpa are now on the speedboat. Thanks to Flanders' generosity, Bart was able to acquire some diving equipment for some reason. I guess it's very convenient that it's just around. They proceed to have Bart wear the diving equipment, and they give some, I forget the number of lines. Wait, here he goes. All right, boy. You pull the line 63 times if you're out of air, and 64 times if you found the treasure. And so you have Grandpa there, the Bart goes down, and we have a nice, well animated, underwater scene. And then you go back up to the boat, and you get like 63. Oh, my son, I sent him to a watery grave. 64.
No.
Oh, we're rich. And it's the classic Simpsons a comedy bit where you go from despair to joy.
It's just so ridiculous
within
too.
a second.
So ridiculous that 64 tugs. What were the other 62?
yeah. It just fucking ridiculous. And then suddenly
that dive is beautiful, by the way.
It is
just like a beautiful. When that first time he dives into the ocean, like that's such a beautiful shot. Like proper cinematography. It's gorgeous.
This was before they were all CGI. So this was like hand drawn by slave labor in Korea. I mean, by willing participants in Korea. And so it's kind of nice that they let this artistic stuff happen. The Simpsons, they have a very simple design. Matt Groening is known for creating simple designs that can easily be recognizable, but it's still wonderful animated shot. People like David Silverman, who are the art directors, really put in the time to make sure we have this stuff look the way it does. And that's why this episode has that feel of like an Indiana Jones or some other kind of adventure.
It really does. It really does. And you feel that, and it makes it all the better.
Yes. So Mr. Burns shows up. You get the safe with the art up on the boat, and they're all excited about it. And of course, Mr. Burns shows up with Smithers on their own boat with a gun, which is hilarious because if it was another episode and Burns shot a gun, and it was the episode where they have a snow retreat, and they're gonna have a race to get to the cabin, and Mr. Burns fires a gun, typical to start the race, and he sinks into the snow. So I know if he doesn't fire the gun in this episode, but if he did, I just have a feeling he would be if Burns' physics is consistent, he would be flying back into the water, and Smithers would be like, "Oh, sir, gotta get you." So they have a little bit of a chase going on. They try they're chasing down Burns, and they have a funny moment where they're like, we need to. Sorry?
When he's leaving, though, when he first leaves, Burns goes, "See you at the reunion."
Yeah, well, also, I think it was earlier, too, when they had the crane. It was like, "Oh, Mr. Burns, I'm a good little boy, and I don't know the difference between right and wrong. Take me with you." And he's like, "Child services has been on me like a hawk. I can't do that." So you have this fun boat chase, and, Burns is like, we have too much weight. And he looks right at Smithers, and he's like, "It's been an honor to serve you, sir." And he jumps off the water like a good servant. And they eventually crash land onto the shore. And this is where the Simpsons were writers were probably like, "Oh shit, we got to end this episode. What are we going to do?" And just randomly, there's federal agents out there, and they're like, "We got," and they're like, "We got to make sure that we have our relations with Germany is still strong, and we're going to return these paintings to the rightful heir." And of course, the joke being that it's this douchey German guy with a long ponytail, and a very nice Mercedes Benz.
They had this clear moral objective to return the art to the original owners.
Correct. And the fun part is the Simpsons are famously poor. If Grandpa had those, he could actually get out of the retirement home. He could probably have his dignity back of some kind. But instead, it has to be returned to the rightful heirs. And they say something along the lines of they probably need it. And they insert, "Oh, we're so sorry."
He needs it more than we do.
And he's, "Hey, don't touch the CD player, you fucking."
He's a total asshole douchebag.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, whatever. And then
schnell mehr other things. Da.
Yeah. And
die Stuttgart, Leipzig Kraftwerk.
Yeah, very much that is something like just your stereotypical like Hans and Franz like German douchey guy.
He's a douchebag.
Like and just kind of the funny accent and everything like that makes it even all the better. But then they have a lovely moment where he's like, Grandpa's like, "Oh, I'd hug you, boy, but like I don't want to embarrass you." And he's like, "Oh, I don't care who if people know I love my grandpa," and they have a nice thing. And of course, they cut that sharp with the German guy kind of backing his car up and it's like, "Hey, fun boys, get the room, huh?" And that's the end of the episode with very cheesy, like European techno music playing in the background. Yeah. So no post-credit scenes on that, but that is the end of the Flying Hellfish episode, as I call it. A fantastic ride. I love these Grandpa episodes. It is really about the core Simpsons family, but Grandpa is always there as well. And he just has some of the greatest like lines and random rants. Like one of the ones that are like very famous is another episode where he's like, "Oh, we can't bash heads like we used to, but we can tell long stories that don't go anywhere."
It's equally as painful as the notion.
Yeah. So do you have any closing comments on the Flying Hellfish or the Dad Who Knew Too Little?
I think that the great theme in both of them is getting closer to your family, doing things with your family and bonding through it and getting closer with the people that you love most. I think that's a fantastic piece of this. And, the other thing being that it was shot in a way that it really is kind of thrilling, and it takes you into their version of that world, which is just very well done, I thought. And with that, they're able to make jokes off of that I thought were very funny.
Yeah, it's very just, you can tell that the Simpsons writers had references that they grew up with. Like these guys probably grew up watching the movies like this, and now they get to reference them. I mean, it's the same reason they always reference Stanley Kubrick. Or
Bond films,
or Bond, or Planet of the Apes, or any of that other stuff. It's like this is the stuff that they grew up with, and now they get to create their own story in this weird rubber band reality universe. And because it's animation, you get to play around with it a little bit more, which is fantastic.
The writers, this was an episode I thought had so many just subtle jokes in it. That they clearly have so much fun writing. One of my favorites is the mailers. Do you remember the mailers before he gets the letter that old Asa Phelps has died?
Oh, no, I don't. But I'm sure there's some good like throwaway.
So the first one he opens up and it says "Live forever," and he's sad about like dying alone. It says "Live forever." And he opens it and says "Live forever" as a commemorative plate. The other one is "Consider a burial at SeaWorld."
Oh my god. I forgot about that one. That's great. And that's a wrap for Sacrilicious with Robin and Snerts. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're feeling generous, then please leave a 5-star review with a few sentences. Do you want to hear more from your old pal Snerts? Then check out the PlayStation Experience on your podcast platform of choice. I can also be found on Twitter at Lord_Snerts. Robin, don't have a cow, coward, can be found somewhere in the universe. Smell you later, true believers.